This man needs no introduction. You know who this man is, right? Yes, it's the legendary King Tut. You might have heard about him in your history classes or watched movies based on his life. But let me ask you something. Do you think you know everything about him? Let's find out. Welcome to my channel. And today let's look at some interesting facts about King Tut. And be sure to stay till the end, because there are some facts that will blow your mind. No. 1. A boy king. When Tutankhamun ascended to the throne, he was just 9 years old. At the time, Egypt was ruled by his father, Akhenaten, who moved the empire's capital to Amarna and tried to shift the religion to worship one god, Aten. Upon King Tut's death, the empire went back to worshipping multiple gods, and the capital was moved back to Thebes. Number 2. Who was his mother? Although Tutankhamun is called the boy king, many historians debate whether he was actually a boy when he became pharaoh. According to some historians, Tutankhamun was born prematurely, while others say he was just small for his age. In either case, he was too young to rule over Egypt. Historians also debate who his mother was. His birth records were destroyed along with those of many other people during the reign of his father, Akhenaten. Some historians think that he was born to Queen Kia, while others believe that he was the son of Queen Smenkhare, who could have been the same person as Queen Kia. Others still argue that he wasn't related to either woman. No. 3. Who was his wife? Now, hold your horses. Before you start shipping Tutankhamun with someone else, let us tell you that he was married to his half-sister, Ankhesenamun, who was the daughter of Pharaoh Akhenaten, and his wife, Nefertiti. Unfortunately, she would never see her husband reach the age of 20. No. 4. How did he die? When Tutankhamun died in 1323 BC at the age of 19, rumors of a curse spread like wildfire. This was because several people connected with the discovery of the tomb lost their lives under mysterious circumstances. However, modern science has shed light on the real cause of the boy king's death. According to reports, King Tut was suffering from several congenital disabilities, including a cleft palate, fragile bones, and clubfoot. In addition, he also suffered from malaria. Some scientists even say that the X-rays show signs of a fractured leg, which may have led to his death. A recent study found that the bone near his left knee was broken into places. It happened about 3 years before his death, but the way it was set was wrong, so the bone didn't heal properly. Because of all these health problems, his doctors recommended complete bed rest. However, this would have been extremely boring for any teenager, and perhaps King Tut decided to get up and move around one day. Unfortunately, it seems like this was the day his leg gave way and he fell. This may have dislodged the bone again or damaged the already weak bone further. He probably started bleeding internally and soon became weak and sick. As he couldn't get out of bed, nobody knows what his last moments were like, but he was probably in a lot of pain. Number 5. His tomb. When King Tut died, he was only 19 years old, so his tomb wasn't as elaborate as the others. In fact, according to some experts, the whole thing was quite a rush job. Some experts even say the tomb was probably intended for someone else. This is because some parts of the tomb resemble those of Queen Nefertiti. Tutankhamun's tomb is considered the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century, not because of its size or opulence, but because it was the only royal tomb to be found mostly intact. No. 6. How was the tomb discovered? Howard Carter was an experienced archaeologist, but he wasn't exactly famous when he found the tomb. He had explored many ancient sites across Egypt, but his discoveries were relatively small until he found King Tut's tomb. Finding the tomb was pure luck, but Carter's decision to excavate it was anything but. He had been looking for the tomb for years and finally located it in November 1922. He sent a postcard to his sponsor, Lord Carnarvon, telling him to come to Egypt right away. Carter and his team carefully uncovered the tomb, taking notes and sketches of every step they took. On November 26, Carter walked into the burial chamber and saw the sarcophagus of the young king. It was covered in gold and adorned with intricate carvings. What Carter and his team found next shocked the world. The treasures included beds, chairs, weapons, chariots, and more than 5,000 pieces of art. There was also a golden death mask that was placed on the mummy of the young pharaoh. Today, the treasures are kept in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. Number 7. The Curse. The discovery of King Tut's tomb came with its fair share of misfortune. Within a few weeks of Carter finding the tomb, Lord Carnarvon died of a mosquito bite. Other members of Carter's team also met with tragic ends, leading people to believe that there was a curse on the tomb. But you can't blame people for believing the curse when some of the warnings in the tomb came true. One of the warnings read, "Beware, you who enter here, for death is here awaiting you." Well, that sounds like a warning, doesn't it? Another inscription read, "Who disturbs my sleep will feel the full force of my wrath." Some people also believe that King Tut's former servants cursed everyone who disturbed his eternal rest. Of course, we now know that curses don't exist, but you can understand why people believed them back then. Number 8. Did Tutankhamun have a father? Not much is known about King Tut's parents because most of the records from his father's reign were destroyed. However, that hasn't stopped historians from speculating about the identity of his father. Some historians believe that Akhenaten was Tutankhamun's biological father, but others are not so sure. This is because King Tut looked very different from his father. While King Tut's mother was probably Egyptian, Akhenaten was not. He was probably related to the Hyksos, a group of foreign rulers who had invaded Egypt earlier. Number 9. His name. Many historians have difficulty pronouncing the name of the boy king. That's because his name isn't Tutankhamun, but Tutankhamun. You see, he wasn't really called Tut, but Tutu. However, when Alexander the Great invaded Egypt in 330 BC, the priests modified the pronunciation of the names of certain pharaohs. They did this so that the Greek language wouldn't sound strange to the Egyptians. So instead of Tutu, the pharaoh was now called Tut. Number 10. Who rules after him? When Tutankhamun died, he didn't leave behind any legitimate heirs, which meant that the throne was up for grabs. Eventually, his advisors chose the father of King Tut's wife, to become pharaoh. But he didn't have the title for long. Less than a year after he took over, he was succeeded by his daughter, who became Queen Nefertiti. And now for the bonus fact, did you know that Tutankhamun's death mask is cursed? Well, if you believe that curses are real, that is. The death mask is probably the most famous artifact associated with the boy king. But do you know why it was never supposed to be his? You see, the mask was probably carved for Queen Nefertiti, but when she died, it was reused to cover the face of King Tut. With that, we've reached the end of our video about King Tut. We hope you enjoyed learning about the boy king. Be sure to tell us your favorite fact about him in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this one, be sure to stay tuned. Thanks for watching.